are we doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you want to do this?
Yeah, so that's a really great question, Brad. I want to do it because I think there's lots of great podcasts out there, but I feel that there's just this natural ability between the two of us, once again, asking the right questions. And it's not only, making me think about the questions that you're giving me, but having the audience also ask themselves those same questions, right? And kind of diving deeper in their conscious mind and really kind of pulling out little nuggets of wisdom into their life.
I've always found from watching and listening to podcasts is that oftentimes, I don't want to say we know the answers, but instinctually we do have a lot of probably the right inclinations or the right way to deal with things. But not until we hear someone else struggle with the same thing or have a similar challenge that we feel confident enough to take that step forward. And I know for myself, it's interesting. I think about all the things that I want to do right now are helping others, but at the same time, it's helping me be better. Yeah. It's helping me reach who I really want to be. I give a lot of advice because I've never been afraid to do that. But I should be looking in the mirror often when I'm giving that advice, like fear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
fear's a big one.
Yeah, like, why are you afraid? You would ask people the same question. Say, well, you shouldn't be afraid of that. There's nothing to be afraid of. But we both have fear.
Yeah.
This might be one of them. I know for me, it's getting up on stage.
Yes,
and
me
I want
too.
to share, my passion, my vision to an audience. But I'm afraid of what they might think about me. For me, that reduces barriers, especially the ones up here, is when I know that it doesn't have to be static.
Yeah.
That things are dynamic and that there's ebbs and flows. And as we grow, obviously our content would grow. So, what do you want out of the gate? What's your kind of instinct?
My gut really just says that I want people to think. I think that we're consumed in a bubble. I really feel like, my mission is to really bring people out of consciousness. I think we've talked about this before. I really feel like most of the world is walking around like a zombie. They're stuck in their head the majority of the time. They're not living in the moment. They're not staying present. They're not asking questions. They're not really thinking. They're just operating an autopilot.
Right.
They're getting up, they're getting dressed, they're brushing their teeth, all in the exact same fashion that they do. It's like Groundhog Day over and over and over again, right? And they're going to work and they're eating the same lunches and then they're coming home cooking the same dinners. Like we live in this constant state of normalcy. And I
that's
think
exactly what it is.
And I think that my mission is to bring people out of that and make them start becoming
abnormal.
Consciously aware.
And be proud of it. Yeah.
And to realize that they actually can control their life. They can change their life and that things don't have to be complacent. And it's good to have some stability. I'm not saying that I don't have stability.
Or routine and whatnot. Like those would be buzzwords we would use all the time.
Yeah. But for me, I think what I would love to really see out of this podcast is really some thinking, deep level thinking, make people get out of their box.
Yeah. I know that I have a lot of beliefs. And one of the things that I think, again, is one of my strengths is that I have those and I'm not afraid to share them, but I also want to hear yours.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem if we disagree, which I hope that we can keep that dynamic or we can develop that rapport as we move along, that we don't have to always agree on a topic but respect it. Again, that doesn't mean agree. But I know for me, one of the really important things is for people to know who they are. And, really get at the root of what that is and what their passion is. And again, that word is used way too much. I've been coining a phrase, do you. I really want to help, and help isn't the right word. I want to empower people to identify who they are.
Do you think somebody will ever know exactly who they are?
I think it's evolution. I think you evolve and you change. And I think, again, being dynamic, every experience that you have changes you.
Yeah, you're
or
always
bad.
evolving,
You're
always changing.
evolving.
You're always learning from the mistakes. But I think it's having that deep-seated thinking around your mistakes, why you made them.
Being open.
Being open.
Yeah.
Being vulnerable. I think that's the biggest one, right?
Yeah. Authentic and vulnerability has been something I've been saying too often as well, but I just getting at that true sense of who you are, and that's that vulnerability. The best conversations I have is when I share my feelings, and I know that they are as well. And I've connected with a handful of people over the last year by using that practice, and instantly creating friendships that are deeper than a lot of the friendships that I've had for many years.
And why do you think they're deeper? Just because somebody has really
because
kind
I
of
think,
been vulnerable
again,
and
I think
dumped on you?
well, superficially, I think a lot of times we just go through the motions and have the conversation about the football game last week, or the weather, and, all of those stereotypical conversations. And whenever you get to have a conversation that matters, like really makes a difference in someone's life, there's a bond that happens.
Yeah.
When you're talking about struggles with kids or your wife or with work or, money or whatever the case may be, just being honest, you identify with somebody on a much deeper level than you would if you're talking about some of these other things that we always talk about.
Well, I think it's the one thing that really, I think it's the one thing that really unites all of us. We've all had struggles, right? Your whole life is a struggle. And I think, I don't think it necessarily has to be a struggle. I think people are struggling more than they need to be struggling, but I think it's in those struggles that we really feel connected with people, right? Because everybody's had some form of a heartbreak. Everybody's had some sort of person stab them in the back. Yeah. Everybody's had some sort of trauma probably as a child or in, in their adult years. Yeah. So we all can associate with, everybody's had fear over money for the most part. So I think there's a lot of different connectors that really aren't talked about, right? Because I think once again, people are afraid. They're afraid to open up and share those things because they're afraid of being embarrassed or...
That's where my curiosity comes from. I think I want to really get at the root of why you're feeling the way you're feeling or doing what you're doing.
So maybe we're really focusing on like conversations that matter. Yeah. You just mentioned that, right? Yeah. You want to have more conversations that really matter. Yeah. Getting to the root of that and, in a variety of people, not just, I think the key is that often we're hearing these deep-rooted conversations with people who are successful. Right. It's kind of like a rags to riches story. Right. And I think there's a lot of people who might not have achieved success, but there's still great insight.
Well, define success, right? I think that's a great conversation at some point as well. Because I think that is so subjective.
For sure.
Such as everything I think that we put out there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we're, getting closer to something.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to watch this back and say, wow, geez, that was pretty good.
Yeah.